everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. I'm Jeremy Crosby. Glad you're tuning in with us for another edition of Talking Fitchburg. And another gorgeous day out there. Getting warmer, though. It's time to think about getting into that pool again as things warm up here in the what I'm going to call the last phase of summer. But I mean, we do live in a four-season state, and fall is really fantastic. So, I mean, while we do cry that summer's coming to an end, still a lot of fun to be had here coming up. So, in fact, basically from the summer till the end of the year is about my favorite time of year. So, June through December, like that's my everything else. I'm just Jeremy then. I don't know what that means. All right, let's let's get into this. We've got a busy show. We'll get you the latest on headlines here in just a moment. We'll check in, take you out to last night's police chief finalist event. It was a community event. A lot of you came out for it. If you didn't come out for it, we'll give you some of the answers, some of the responses from each of the candidates last night, as those will be picked by the Police and Fire Commission. Hopefully we'll hear word on and by the end of the week, but we'll keep you up to date on that. Plus, we'll check in on a groundbreaking taking place yesterday. The USONA Institute had a groundbreaking. We'll break that down for you, what that is, where it is, and what it's going to bring here to Fitchburg, part of the Promega Corporation there. So excited to be sharing that with you. So let's get to our headlines first. And talking about the police chief finalists public reception, we do have that available online. So if you are interested in checking that out, we talked about this on the update this morning, but want to make sure that you can still get out there and watch it. We've seen a lot of you have already looked at it. So if you're interested in watching the full reception or event there, it's available for you. You can check it out on our Facebook page and YouTube. We have it there for you, the link to the YouTube, and of course at the website fitchburgwi.gov. All right, update on Pack in the Park. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, the carnival portion of Pack in the Park has been canceled, but they're going to still keep the movie happening. So that movie's going to take place still at McKee Farms on Friday, April 6th, or April, wow, not the good ones right there, August 6th. Movie will begin approximately at 8:15 p.m. Or 8:30, somewhere in there. Bring your blanket or lawn chair and enjoy the movie under the stars. All right, brush and yard waste collection. It is that time of year to start thinking about that. And those continue to happen, but the yard waste ones will be coming up here. So want to get those dates out there for you. A little early, but good to know when the yard waste stuff does come up, and that comes up in October. But residents are provided with 14 brush collections and 4 yard waste collections, April through November. Residents must have their brush and yard waste placed at the curb by 6:30 a.m. Mondays of the following on Monday on the following brush collection weeks. And you can see those weeks there. Again, actual collection dates may vary depending on the weather, but that yard waste one coming up here will be October 18th. So kind of when the leaves start to fall, we'll be having those yard waste collection pieces happening. Of course, you can take yard waste down to the recycling center in Fitchburg by Public Works off Fish Hatchery Road. All right, COVID-19 may still be causing illness, but remember that there are other respiratory viruses out there too. You may have sick ones out there currently. There's a lot of things going around. If you test negative for COVID-19, it could be something else. Learn more about viruses in the circulation. And this graphic, I think, says it all. If you're feeling sick, it could be something more than just the COVID. DHS has seen an unusual uptick in respiratory illnesses. So talk to your healthcare provider and, of course, get tested or learn more about the testing from the Department of Health Services of Wisconsin. And if you're worried about the ticks, I just throwing this out there again because it's coming up to that season. So if you're worried about being bit by a disease-carrying tick or mosquito, talk to your doctor if you have a fever or rash, especially if you get a bug bite, because it could be something there that you picked up from that. So make sure you check yourself, check the kids when they come in, especially if you live near wooded areas, tall grass areas. We've seen them. We don't have woods by me, but we've had plenty of ticks out here. So you got to check it out and check and make sure that you continue to fight the bite. There's so many great resources at the Department of Health Services, Wisconsin, and we definitely want you to check that out. And stay safe. All right, that does it for our headlines. Coming up next, we open up our digest. We'll take you out to the police chief's reception last night. That's next right here on Talking Fitchburg.
It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and stay home unless absolutely necessary. Use a delivery service for essential items like food and medicine. If you must make essential trips, stay 6 feet apart from other people. Wear a cloth face covering and wash your hands for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg in the Digest. And today we're going to take a look back at last night's police finalists reception. It was held at the Patrons Union here in Fitchburg, and we appreciate their help and space for having us out there. And if you missed if you missed the event, we did have it live for you. And if you didn't come out, you didn't watch it, it's okay. We got it online for you. But we wanted to bring back one of the question and answer portions from last night. Take a look.
Thank you all for being here today and to attend today's event. We're here to meet the finalists for the Chief of Police for the Fitchburg Police Department. The city started this recruitment back in May, following the announcement of former Chief Chad Breckland's promotion to City Administrator here in Fitchburg. And the question is, what is your vision for the Fitchburg Police Department in the next 5 years? And briefly describe the steps you would take to implement this vision.
Okay, to start off with the city of Fitchburg, you have to look at a vision externally for the Fitchburg Police Department and internally. Externally, let's look at what's going on in Fitchburg. It's a growing city. It sounds like it's growing by 1,000 residents a year. Fitchburg is going to be annexing the town of Madison. And I think just the portion of the town of Madison that's going to be annexing is another 1,600 residents. The increase that you see there, and I've gotten 3 different numbers on what the actual residency here is in Fitchburg, from 29,000 to 31 or 32,000. I estimate that within 5 years, you're going to be probably around 40,000 residents in the city of Fitchburg, if not more. It's important that you understand that, because if the city of Fitchburg grows, the city entity, the city services have to grow with it. We're talking about law enforcement, so I'll stick to the law enforcement entity. We have to grow and have an accredited law enforcement agency. If we're going to have an accredited law enforcement agency that can handle the volume and do community policing and utilize the strategy that we need, it's going to require staffing it properly. So we have to look at staffing levels for that police department to get it where we need to operate properly and represent the city of Fitchburg. I also, internally, what do I see with the police department? It's an observation stage that has to be conducted first. I can tell you what I will do is I'm going to implement my strategy on how to deal with crime and community policing. However, you have to look at the needs and wants of the organization before you create any change. So you have to do an observation stage your first year to identify where the organization is and what's going to be needed to change. Obviously, important changes that need to be done right away, you will do. But unless you understand the organization, you need to identify it by dealing with the organization. I want a police department that's going to be diverse. I want a police department that has leadership, that's well-trained, that is both physically and mentally healthy. Without those entities, you're going to have a law enforcement officer that may not operate properly on the public, which hurts relationships. So we want to make sure we have a healthy department, which means we have to institute the proper training to get them there. I don't know where their training levels are. I don't know where they're at, but I will look at that to make sure we have a department that does that well and communicates well. I have to identify those needs and wants and push that off. Diversity and bringing the department where we want it to bring that in takes within 5 years, where you're going to be exploring and recruiting through schools to get individuals to want to join the law enforcement profession.
Thank you. Tony, go ahead.
Thank you. Great question. Vision for the Fitchburg Police Department, in my eyes, would be a department that is strong in a foundation of service and anchored down by two key principles, which is accountability and transparency. Without either of those two, service is not going to work. I envision a police department that is out of their squad cars, that is interacting with the community, that is capitalizing on all windows of opportunity, that they are going out to the community. You can't expect a mother of 4 with a job and a half to try to make it to a meeting. They're not going to make it. The experience I have from having been raised in an environment of poverty and those issues, we need to get back out to the community. We need to figure out where the issues are. We have good staff. We already have a good foundation of staff. It's adding to those staff. It's creating good policies and good practices, not only vetted by staff, but vetted by the public. So that hits the transparency issue, is making sure that we are an open book all the way through. I see our department within 5 years being accredited nationally as one of the accredited agencies. It's possible. When I was in Darlington, I was part of an accreditation process, and we were able to fulfill the core standards of accreditation in a department of 2,400. We can definitely do it here. We train with Middleton PD. Middleton PD's accredited. We can do that. And accreditation, for those that don't understand, means that we have policies and practices that are formulated based on best practice and that we can prove that we use them. And how do you do that? Is to get out to the community to make sure that they're having opportunities to talk about what's being done out in the community, listening to your patrol staff, making sure that we're actually listening to them, active listening. They're the ones that are the boots on the ground. They're the ones that are bringing the information to us. I envision a community that if something like what happened in Minneapolis, and a person like George Floyd is being killed, that the other 3 officers are going to trip over themselves to get that man off. That's what I envision.
Thank you, Tony. Vic, you're up.
Okay, so my 5-year vision for the police department, or for Fitchburg Police Department, is this not working? Okay, is to enhance and improve trust between the community and the police department, as well as within the police department, right? That goes across the board. And also, quite simply, to provide the best possible officers in the field, serving the community, following best practices. Okay, all right. Following practices that are vetted and that are shown to be national best practices. That goes towards accreditation. Before we go too far down this road, we need to pause a minute. You don't just come into any organization, no matter which organization it is, and start looking at ways to change culture or ways to change the organization. You have to respect the existing culture and the institutional knowledge that the department members have. You also have to respect the community's needs and their desires and their wants, because after all, the community, you all are the customer. Now, in order to do that, we need to look at what the strengths of the department are, what the weaknesses are, and look for opportunities in those strengths and weaknesses on ways that we can improve our services to the community, our relationships with the community, and most importantly, that trust, right? Because after all, it is the community that gives the department their legitimacy, their ability to enforce the law. They're essentially saying, yes, you guys, we trust you. You guys can enforce the law in our community. So, we do have to look at that. It's called a SWOT analysis. And then you can start looking at an overall strategic plan and start putting that into an actual 5-year strategic plan, something that you can march to, something that you can go back to touchstones and look at. How are we doing in realizing this goal? How are we doing realizing this goal? Are we providing the training that we need to provide our officers? Are our policies good? And then we can march towards accreditation. And he already explained it, so I won't go too much into that. Some of that training that we need to make sure that our officers have, I think we're in a new age of policing. We need to police fairly and impartially and equitably across the board, regardless of what membership in the community that members of the community have. We need to have that open and honest dialogues with our community members of all walks of life, faith organizations, business communities, all the communities. They need to be able to feel like they have an equal opportunity to have input into the organization. And then, of course, reinforcing and recommitting to partnerships within the LEO community, the surrounding LEO community, and partnerships with the community.
All right, thank you. Scott, go ahead.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Mayor. My vision, really, of the police department, and I'll stress this again, is to become a national leader in effective policing and engagement within 5 years. This can be done relatively easily with the foundation that has already been established with the police department. And the key here is creating a winning culture within the department where the employees feel valued, they have a voice, and they truly enjoy and love coming into work and serving the community. I think that's the key here within the department. Within the community, I use the analogy of road. The department has to be responsive to the needs of the community. They have to adjust and listen to the community. We have to have town hall listening session meetings within the community, not at City Hall, not at the police department, where people feel comfortable in their backyard, in churches, in community centers. We need to provide child care for folks that have those things at night. We need to adjust the hours. We need to be responsive to the needs of the community. The second part, the O in road, is we need to be open and transparent in all of our policies and procedures. We need to seek input. We need to run our policies and procedures through an equity and inclusion lens and say, are these policies and procedures having a disproportionate impact on communities of color? Transparent. We need to teach folks what we do and why we do it and be open and honest in those conversations. A in road is accountability. We need to be accountable to each other and the community, and we need to hold the community accountable. Accountability is a huge key in the roadmap for success. The last part is diversity. This is a very diverse, growing community. We need to be a diverse and growing department. Our demographics need to exceed the demographics makeup of the city. We need to hire more women for the police department. We need to hire more officers of color. We have to value diversity and make that one of the key components of our department. I love the mission, the vision, and the values of the department. Service with respect. Service with respect. It's super simple. It's super easy. I love the service. I love the teamwork. I love the accountability. I love the respect. The only thing I think I would add, and I envision us adding to that, is the diversity piece, because it's extremely important in Fitchburg and any police department.
All right, there you have it. As mentioned, you can check out the full version of this. It's up on our YouTube channel. Just look for the City of Fitchburg Fact TV, and you'll be able to watch that reception. Of course, we have Fact TV as well, fitchburgwi.gov. All right, take a quick break. Coming up next, open up our guest segment. We're going to take you out to a groundbreaking at the USONA Institute. Next, right here on Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps.
Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, Someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Now we're going to take you out to a groundbreaking. It's another Promega building that's coming here to Fitchburg. It's called the USONA Institute. Take a look at their groundbreaking.
So in the past 7 years, we've expanded the scope of our operations. And through the work that we've done and through the work that have been done by so many before us, we've shown psilocybin specifically to have a significant potential in the treatment of a range of disorders, including major depressive disorders, substance abuse disorders, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders as well. And my early curiosity about 15 years ago was, how could a single treatment, or 2 or 3 at the most, have a profound and lasting effect? And I think in the simplest terms, what we learned is it's about, through this experience, there's a connection or a reconnection with ourselves that may last for weeks and months, sometimes a lifetime. And finally, I'd like to give a perspective to our connection with one another. The communities each of you represent here today are important components of how we make this project successful. It's a connection of celebration and of historic beginnings. We're fortunate also at USONA to be collaborating with many of the thought leaders, and this is on a global scale. This is really throughout the world. And it's our intention that this campus is not just an isolated place where we do research, where we conduct therapy, where we conduct education, but that this is a node in a network of centers throughout the world that can practice and support this work. So one of our prominent and key architects in this project, David Rousseau, still stranded up in Canada. He's on Vancouver Island, is not able to be with us. But he gave me a few words that he wanted me to share with you. So I'm actually taking up 2 speakers. Is that okay? All right. These are his words. He said, "For the past 4 years, we've been dreaming this dream of a USONA facility. My heart is with you all on this groundbreaking day, and I feel it very appropriate to gather here together next to an observatory just up on the hill to celebrate. In our lifetimes, as I see it, we have the chance for a few significant encounters with the infinite, the boundless. 3 ways I have found are observing the heavens, pursuing creative processes in arts and sciences, and exploring consciousness. In creative enterprise, when we design something and then make it, we're embodying our intentions in solid form. In architect, with each building communicating a range of intentions that formed it in the precise way that it is. Some buildings are intended to be places of comfort and security, like our homes. Some buildings are intended to sell merchandise, like our retail shops. And some buildings are intended to provide productive workplaces, like Promega buildings. So what are the intentions that we're building into the USONA facility? USONA's mission is to understand the effects of consciousness-expanding medicines and to promote their use for innovative therapies. The intentions we bring to the facility are primarily exploration and healing. It is meant as a model for disseminating and teaching this work.
From sustainable construction while respecting the environment, the USONA Institute is yet another project that fulfills Bill's vision for looking not at only today, but tomorrow and the next 100 years. We all know someone who is suffering from an illness like PTSD or the adverse effects of cancer treatment. The work taking place here at the USONA Institute will provide hope. Hope for a better quality of life for these patients.
With any successful building, there needs to be an intimate relationship with the surrounding nature, to tie the form seamlessly into the surrounding nature, to reconnect the senses, the elements like sun, wind, water, and earth.
Just to set the stage behind you here, today you can see it's clear and ready to start construction. There's some sort of landscape element right in front. You can see that odd shaped element with the flowers on it. That is actually where the USONA front door is going to be. Well, I've got a scraper right back parked in that corner, just in case Bill wants to use it for some groundbreaking event. So the keys are in it, it's all gassed up. So either today or tonight, Bill, you're welcome to just take the keys and get started on the project.
So I grew up like many of you, perhaps very impacted, very curious about the effects of trauma and stress and how do we effectively treat these things. And unfortunately, the answer, I think, has been for a very long time, not well. We don't have really effective treatments. And I think something that is so profound about the work that I have seen, the building that I have seen, the building that you have just described, is that this is not simply improving symptoms and saving lives. There's nothing simple about that. But that these interventions go so much deeper than that and find us at a level that I think is very much at a bedrock level, if you will. And I love the rocks. I love the rocks for a lot of reasons. But I think these get individuals to someplace deeper, someplace much more meaningful, and from a mental health perspective, somewhere so much more life-saving. That whether we're talking about traumatic experiences, whether we're talking about moral injury, if we're talking about guilt, shame, grief, loss, those are really hard things to face, absolutely. And healing and recovery come from facing those. The thing that I love about these interventions, the thing that I love about psychedelic medicine, is that we are not only improving lives, we are not helping people to find meaning, to do any of these things. We are setting the stage, we are providing the foundation, the bedrock, opening space in which people can come alive and really build lives that they truly want to live.
So let us together make the very most of this moment. Let's celebrate in the biggest way we can. For some of you who know the wonderful author, anthropologist, psychologist Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote Women Who Run with Wolves, she said, how can you tell a person is passionate about something? Well, their hair is on fire and their clothes are on sideways because they've got fire in the belly, right? So I'm not going to ask you to set your hair on fire nor discombobulate yourself in that way, but I am going to ask you to set yourself to that fire in the belly that we are all a part of. And with that, I'm going to turn it to my partner, the great founder of this project we are here for today, who is literally going to light the fire for us.
All right, there you have it. When they have their ribbon cutting, we'll take you back out there for that great event. All right, we'll take a quick break, wrap up the show next. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
Brandon met a girl on a dating app. He finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
She must be a keeper.
We're all just trying to keep things running for those who rely on us. That's why we don't have time to be sick with the flu.
We don't have time for delays.
We don't have time for spills.
Next.
We don't have time for setbacks. Let's be real.
Getting the flu shot
helps you fight the flu.
Get a flu shot for yourself and those around you too.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for the day. Remember, you can find all of our videos, shows, and more at the website fitchburgwi.gov. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube as well. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.